Have you ever had a perfect opportunity staring you right in the face, only to let it slip away because you couldn't stop thinking about it? We've all been there. That moment when everything seems to align perfectly. The dream job offer, the chance to start that project you've always wanted, or simply that opportunity that seems too good to be true. And then, instead of taking action, you freeze. It's fascinating how this happens. We're not talking about those questionable opportunities that make us hesitate for good reasons. We're talking about the perfect opportunities, the ones that seem tailor-made for you. And yet, something inside your mind slams on the brakes with full force. Welcome to the most frustrating paradox of human decision-making. The more perfect an opportunity appears, the more we tend to paralyze in front of it. It's as if our brain enters a self-sabotage mode precisely when we should be most confident. Today we're going to dive deep into the psychological mechanisms that transform ideal moments into anxiety-ridden dilemmas. We're going to uncover the subconscious thought patterns that make you hesitate exactly when success is within your reach. And most importantly, we're going to understand why this happens specifically with perfect opportunities. Think with me for a moment. When was the last time you had an incredible opportunity and your mind started racing? Maybe it was that invitation to participate in an important project at work, or that chance to move to the city you've always dreamed of. It could even have been the opportunity to invest in something promising or to start a relationship with someone special. What do all these situations have in common? They were good. Actually, they were perfect. And that's exactly why you started questioning everything. Your mind began creating scenarios, analyzing every detail, searching for flaws where perhaps none existed. You started looking for reasons to say no precisely when you should have been saying yes. This phenomenon is not a character flaw. It's not a lack of courage or ambition. It's something much deeper and more universal than you might imagine. It's rooted in the way our brain evolved to protect us from threats. But today sabotages us in completely different contexts. What we'll discover together throughout this video will change the way you view your own decisions. We're going to explore the invisible psychological traps your brain creates, the hidden fears that amplify paralysis, and most importantly, how you can reprogram your response to these perfect opportunities. Because here's the truth, while you're stuck in infinite analysis, the opportunity doesn't wait. Time passes, the window closes, and you're left with that bitter feeling of what if I had simply acted? That regret is real, it's painful, and it's completely avoidable. So get ready. In the upcoming sections, we're going to deconstruct the myth of perfection, expose the mental monsters that fuel your hesitation, and most importantly, we're going to equip you with practical insights to finally break this cycle of self-sabotage. Are you ready to understand why your mind freezes precisely when it should accelerate? Let's begin. Entendido. Vou ajustar o bloco 2 para ficar mais próximo de 6 minutos. Aqui está a versão reduzida. Block 2. The brain's self-sabotage. Toolkit. Approximately 6 minutes. Let's talk about what's really happening inside your brain when that perfect opportunity appears. Your mind suddenly becomes your worst enemy, using a very specific set of tools that we need to understand. First, let's explore what psychologists call analysis paralysis. It's that state where you gather more and more information, thinking that just one more piece of data will make the decision crystal clear. But here's the cruel irony. The more information you collect, the harder it becomes to actually make a decision. Think about it. You start researching that perfect job opportunity. You read company reviews, analyze salary comparisons, study industry trends, talk to people who work there, create spreadsheets comparing positions. Hours turn into days, days turn into weeks. And with each new piece of information, the decision doesn't get clearer. It gets murkier, more complex, more overwhelming. Why? Because your brain is desperately trying to eliminate all uncertainty. It's searching for that magical 100% guarantee that doesn't exist in real life. Every new fact opens up 10 new questions. Every answer leads to more doubt. You're not moving toward clarity. You're moving deeper into a fog of your own creation. But there's something even more insidious at play here. It's a twisted version of FOMO, the fear of missing out. But here's the catch. You're not afraid of missing this perfect opportunity. You're terrified of missing an even better one by committing to this one. Let me paint you a picture. You have an amazing job offer on the table. Great salary, perfect location, fantastic team. But your mind whispers, what if you accept this, and next week an even better opportunity appears? So you wait. You hesitate. You keep your options open. And while you're doing that, the current perfect opportunity evaporates. This is the paradox of choice on steroids. When an opportunity is clearly mediocre, we can easily say no. When it's obviously terrible, we run away. But when it's genuinely good, when it's that 85% or 90% match, our brains start fantasizing about that mythical 100% perfect opportunity that might be just around the corner. Here's what you need to understand. That 100% opportunity doesn't exist. And even if it did, by the time you found it, you'd probably overthink that one too. The goalpost keeps moving because perfection is not a destination. It's a mirage that recedes as you approach it. Now let's talk about the illusion of control. This is perhaps the most dangerous tool in your brain's self-sabotage toolkit. You genuinely believe that if you just think about it long enough, analyze it deeply enough, plan it perfectly enough, you can engineer a flawless outcome. You can eliminate all risk. You can guarantee success. But life doesn't work that way. Uncertainty is not a bug in the system. It's a fundamental feature of existence. No amount of deliberation will give you perfect information about the future. You cannot think your way to absolute certainty. Yet your brain keeps trying, convinced that just a little more analysis will crack the code. This illusion of control manifests in fascinating ways. You create elaborate mental scenarios. You imagine every possible outcome and your response to each one. You build contingency plans for your contingency plans. You're essentially trying to live the entire future experience in your mind before committing to it in reality. And here's the tragic part. While you're doing all this mental gymnastics trying to control the uncontrollable, you're actually losing the one thing you do have control over, the decision to act now. The opportunity has an expiration date. Your deliberation doesn't. The more perfect an opportunity seems, the more these mechanisms amplify. Analysis paralysis intensifies because there's so much at stake. The fear of missing something better grows because you feel you deserve the absolute best. And the illusion of control strengthens because you believe something this perfect requires perfect planning. Your brain thinks it's protecting you, but in reality, it's building an elaborate prison of overthinking, and the bars are made of your own thoughts. The key to that prison? Understanding these mechanisms for what they are, outdated survival instincts trying to operate in a modern world where the threats are not saber-toothed tigers, but missed opportunities. Now we need to talk about two powerful psychological forces that amplify overthinking when perfect opportunities arise: the what-if monster and imposter syndrome. Let's start with the what-if question. What if it fails? Seems reasonable on the surface. But when the opportunity feels astronomically important because of its perceived perfection, this simple question transforms into a paralyzing monster. The what if it fails question is never just one question. It's a gateway to catastrophic thinking. What if it fails and I lose everything? What if people laugh at me? What if I can never recover? Each what if breeds 10 more, and suddenly you're living in a horror movie that exists only in your imagination. Here's the insidious part. The bigger the opportunity, the bigger the imagined failure. That perfect job, that dream business. The what-if monster grows proportionally, becoming Godzilla-sized because your mind convinces you that failure would be equally catastrophic. But ask yourself, how many of these catastrophic scenarios have actually happened in your life? When you look back at things you were terrified of, how many materialized the way you imagined? Probably very few, if any. The what-if monster thrives on one fundamental misunderstanding. It treats the possibility of failure as equivalent to the certainty of catastrophic failure. It conflates, this might not work out perfectly, with, this will destroy everything. In the moment of overthinking, they feel identical. Now let's add imposter syndrome. This is the voice that asks, do I really deserve this perfect chance? And that question is devastating when combined with overthinking. Imposter syndrome makes you believe your successes are accidents, your achievements are flukes, that you've fooled everyone into thinking you're competent when you're secretly not. When a perfect opportunity appears, it screams, "They're going to find out. They're going to discover you're not qualified. You're going to be exposed as a fraud." This creates twisted logic. The opportunity is perfect, so you don't deserve it. So you should back out before someone figures out you're not worthy. You manufacture objections. You create obstacles that don't exist. You find flaws because rejecting it yourself feels safer than being rejected later. Think about how backwards this is. Something amazing is presented to you, and your immediate response is self-disqualification. Not because of objective evidence, but because you've convinced yourself you're not good enough. Imposter syndrome also creates the perfection trap within the perfection trap. You think, if I'm taking this perfect opportunity, I need to be perfect myself. I need all the skills, knowledge, and experience before saying yes. So you delay, claiming you need more preparation. But you're not preparing. You're procrastinating with a sophisticated excuse. The cruel part: imposter syndrome is often strongest in highly capable people. If you were truly incompetent, you probably wouldn't doubt yourself this much. The fact that you're questioning whether you deserve the opportunity is often a sign that you've achieved enough to attract it in the first place. Then there's the societal dimension. We live in a world obsessed with image and success. Social media has amplified this absurdly. Everyone curates their highlight reels, showcasing wins and hiding struggles. When a perfect opportunity comes along, the stakes feel impossibly high. It's not just about whether it works out. It's about what failure would mean for your public image. What would people think? What would they say? The fear of public failure on a perfect opportunity becomes unbearable. You think, if I try this and fail, everyone will see. The fact that it was such a good opportunity will make the failure even more visible, even more humiliating. So you protect yourself by not trying at all, by overthinking until the opportunity passes. Here's what you need to understand. The what-if monster is a liar. Imposter syndrome is a liar. The fear of public failure is based on lies. These are not truths about reality. They are stories your mind tells you, and you have the power to stop believing them. The question is, are you ready? Let's challenge the most dangerous belief fueling overthinking, that true perfection exists, and you can achieve it through enough deliberation. This belief is destroying your ability to seize opportunities. Here's a fundamental truth. Every opportunity, no matter how perfect it seems, has trade-offs. Every single one. That dream job, it might require longer hours. That business opportunity, it comes with risk. That ideal relationship, it requires vulnerability. When overthinking, we ignore the tangible benefits right in front of us. We fixate on finding hidden flaws, ensuring absolute perfection, and fail to see what we're actually being offered. We're so busy looking for what's wrong that we forget to appreciate what's right. This is where satisficing versus maximizing becomes crucial. Maximizers examine every option to ensure the absolute best choice. Satisficers have clear criteria for what's good enough and stop searching once they find it. Research shows satisficers are happier, less anxious, and more decisive. And they don't end up with worse outcomes. They reach good outcomes faster, with far less anguish. The maximizer spends months finding the theoretically perfect apartment and still feels anxious. The satisficer finds a great apartment and enjoys living there. Ask yourself, am I satisficing or maximizing? Have I set clear criteria for a good decision? If this opportunity meets those criteria, why am I still searching for reasons to say no? Now let's talk about the hidden cost of inaction. While you're deliberating, what are you losing? Time, momentum, the compound benefits that would have accumulated if you'd started earlier. 6 months overthinking a business idea? That's 6 months of growth and revenue gone forever. A year deliberating a job offer? That's a year of experience and advancement that evaporates while you think. Overthinking creates stagnation. You're not learning, growing, or evolving. You're frozen. And in a changing world, standing still means moving backwards. There's also the psychological cost. Every day, overthinking is a day in anxiety and mental exhaustion. The cognitive load of holding all these scenarios in your mind is draining. It affects sleep, mood, relationships, and health. Then there's regret. Research shows people regret the things they didn't do far more than the things they did. Actions, even imperfect ones, teach you something. But opportunities you let slip away, they haunt you with eternal what-ifs. Let's reframe perfection. Perfect doesn't mean flawless with no downsides. Perfect means worth the trade-offs. It means the benefits significantly outweigh the costs. It means good enough to act on now rather than theoretically better if you wait indefinitely. Try this mental shift. Instead of, is this absolutely flawless, ask, is this significantly better than my current situation? Instead of, will this guarantee success? Ask, does this offer enough value to justify the risk? Instead of, can I be 100% certain? Ask, do I have enough information to make a reasonable decision? The power of good enough isn't about settling. It's recognizing that good enough executed today beats perfect delayed indefinitely. Action, even imperfect action, generates information and momentum that overthinking never will. Your overthinking isn't making decisions better, it's just making them later. And later often means never. The opportunity doesn't wait for impossible certainty, it moves on, and you're left with nothing but the memory of what could have been. We've identified the problem, we've exposed the mechanisms. Now comes the most important question: what are you going to do about it? Understanding why you overthink is valuable, but understanding alone doesn't change behavior. You need practical strategies to transform from an overthinker into an action taker. First, decision deadlines. Overthinking spirals out of control because it has no natural endpoint. Your brain will analyze forever if you let it. So impose a hard deadline on your decision-making process. When a perfect opportunity presents itself, give yourself a specific time frame, maybe 48 hours, maybe 1 week. When that deadline arrives, you decide. No extensions, no negotiations. You make the call with the information you have. This forces your brain to focus on what's truly important. When you only have 3 days to decide, you prioritize critical factors and let trivial ones go. What if the opportunity is complex? Break it down. Large decisions paralyze us. Small steps don't. Don't decide everything at once. First, do I want to explore this further? Next, what are the 3 most important pieces of information I need? Then, how can I get that information quickly? Each small decision builds momentum and clarity. This transforms, should I completely change my career, into manageable steps? Should I talk to someone in that field? Then, should I spend 1 weekend learning the basics? You're not overthinking a massive change. You're taking small, concrete steps forward. Now let's address risk. You cannot eliminate it, you cannot guarantee success, but you can embrace calculated risk. Calculated risk means you've identified potential downsides, assessed realistic probability, and determined the upside justifies the chance. It's not reckless, it's informed courage. Here's the reframe. Growth always lives on the other side of uncertainty. Every significant positive change in your life required stepping into the unknown. Your first job, your first relationship, every skill you've mastered. They all started with uncertainty. The people you admire aren't less afraid than you. They're not more certain about outcomes. They've just made peace with uncertainty. They've accepted that perfection is an illusion and waiting for it means waiting forever. How do you make peace with uncertainty? Start small. Practice taking action on smaller opportunities where stakes feel manageable. Build the muscle of decisive action. Reprogram your response through experience, not just thinking. Every time you take action despite uncertainty, you prove you can handle imperfect outcomes. You're building genuine confidence based on real evidence. Now, do something right now. Think about one perfect opportunity you're currently overthinking. There's at least one, isn't there? Commit to one decisive action within the next 24 hours, not the entire decision. Just one concrete step. Send that email, make that phone call, schedule that meeting, make it small, make it specific, make it happen within 24 hours. Why 24 hours? Because momentum dies quickly. Because your overthinking brain will talk you out of it if you give it time. Because you need to prove to yourself that you can break this pattern, that one small action will give you information. It will create momentum. It will make the next step clearer. What felt impossibly complex will start to unfold naturally, one action at a time. Remember, Perfect opportunities don't require perfect responses. They require timely ones. They require courage over certainty. They require trusting that you'll figure things out as you go, because that's how life actually works. The opportunity is there. The choice is yours. Will you overthink it into oblivion, or will you take that first step? Your future self is watching, hoping you'll choose action. Don't let them down. The time is now.